and welcome to Prepper Chicks After Dark. It is April the 15th, 2014, and we are happy to be here in the middle of a blizzard, or whatever is going on out there. So, listening to Primer Time Radio just now, and we are now the Primer Chicks. Not. That was almost funny. But, I want to welcome everybody to the show. We got some special guests here, that, we need to get started on because we have a lot to talk about. So, back with us, Alika.
Thanks for having me again on this dreadful tax day. I am with SHTFready.com. We are a prepping survivalist forum that shares ideas and help each other learn and prepare. We're a community of down-to-earth preppers discussing real-life situations. Everyone is welcome. You heard of the ant and the grasshopper story? We teach you to be the ant.
Awesome. Thank you, and welcome back. We always have fun with you here. And the creator of Conflicted itself, JD, how are you tonight?
Doing great. How are you?
Glad to have you. I almost thought we weren't going to get you.
Oh, I'm here. It's hard to get rid of me. You have to try harder.
Like a fungus among us.
Yeah.
No,
it's great to be here. Thanks for having me back.
You're always a blast. And our special guest, back with us for their second visit after the movie. If you guys got a chance a couple weeks ago, the movie Goodbye World came out, and I'd like to talk about that a little bit. So, Dennis, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be back. I see Jane's on here too, which is good.
Jane, Mama with the Prep. Yep, she's in the chat room.
Nice.
Do you have a guest with you this evening?
I do. I have my co-writer, Sarah Adina Smith, also a producer on the movie.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, welcome back. It was great to have you last time.
Awesome. Yeah, Casey, one of our other producers was on last time, but I'm really excited to be here this time.
You guys sound a lot alike.
I know, right? We do.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started. But, Dennis, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about the movie before we get started and why it came about?
The movie is Goodbye World. It came about because Sarah and I started working on it a couple years ago and wrote the film, produced it. Some of you have seen it by now. I'm really actually curious to see what your thoughts are on it. We've been going through the experience of the movie being pitched as like a heavy sort of survivalist end of the world apocalypse movie when if you've seen it, you realize clearly that's not what it is. And dealing with some of the blowback from that. But, sort of also feeling like it does ask some questions that I think are interesting within that context.
Totally agree with that. And I would see why you would have the concerns with that because, as a prepper, a person into preparedness, I kind of got attached to it when I first saw it before it even came out, because of some of the, shots that you guys had shown and, solar panels, that's usually a big heads up for us that, hey, this might be interesting. Going into the movie, I could understand, well, I yelled a lot at the TV. I'll be honest.
These guys aren't experts.
It was supposed to be an interactive movie. We made it so that you could
It was. There was a female, I'm going to try and do this without giving too much away because I really would like people to go see it. I think, they need to, quite honestly. But there was one specific female that I wanted to hurt badly. Just because of her extracurricular activities and, all of that. Didn't agree with
that's the wife.
I'm so curious.
Yes, the parenthood part of it.
Yeah. Which, can you just say?
The mom?
But can you say
Lily.
The extracurricular activity? But I'm curious about what extracurricular.
Oh my gosh. She was doing was smoking pot and drinking. I don't know when she was sober.
No, she would be prepared.
Oh man, I would be so high if the world was ending.
See,
I would take whatever drugs were available.
See, you see where Lily comes from. It comes from
Yes,
Sarah.
obviously, yes. I can see why. Yeah, okay.
These are humans that exist in the world.
You know, it has its purpose, but I don't know if when you have to function and try and protect a child might not be the best time to.
I think Lily doesn't like her child very much at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, which is bizarre in itself.
She got pregnant. She never really wanted to be a mom, and she sort of had a baby thinking her maternal instinct would just like magically kick in because that's what everybody tells you. And the truth is sometimes it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, and by the end of the movie, she kind of realizes that she does love her family and wants to be there with him. But that's sort of her arc in the movie.
Yeah, I think she starts out, the thing is, it's like, I think the thing that's interesting is like, yes, there's lots to critique in these characters, but that's part of the point.
Yes.
You know, they come to a different understanding by the end of the movie. So it's interesting to read criticisms of characters behaving the way they do in the first like hour. It's like they're supposed to be dummies.
Right. But you have to understand too, you're not, like anything I do when I'm talking on the radio, I'm preaching to the choir. You know, So if you're doing this, if you're making this movie for the choir, yeah, I could see where they would be pissed off because I was yelling, you know, at certain points in the movie. It's like, really? You know, but that's not what the movie's about, you know, and that's not why you wrote the movie. And, you know, I wish it was longer because I think you tried to cram a lot of stuff in there. You did cram a lot of stuff in there. And I would have liked to have seen maybe certain parts of it, evolved a little bit more.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's the most fair criticism I've heard, which is that it was very ambitious, and I think we tried to do a lot in a small amount of time, and, you know, maybe we need a mini-series. Maybe this should be an HBO 8-episode special.
That would be lovely. And if you need help with the preparedness part of it, give me a call.
Yeah, will you call HBO first?
But, you know, I had to stop, you know, after it was over with, and I had to take a deep breath, and I had to take myself out of what I do and put myself in your shoes as best as I could. And then the movie made sense. And if we're out there as preparedness people trying to get more people involved, we can't make a movie preaching to the choir because they're going to be pissed off or the masses, the sheeple as we refer to them, aren't going to watch it, you know? So if you make a movie that's more realistic about the sheeple, the people that are out there, you know, everybody but the main character in the movie, then people are going to watch it and they're going to get it. And you put some things in there that I thought were awesome. The food storage, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And what was really cool, I thought, was the fact that you did put some moments in there that, were conflicted. There was an incident, where, two police, well, you show this in one of the clips. The two soldiers came and visited. And the group, you know, did what they did. They would have been dead if they would have done that on my property. But that's not what your movie was about.
The National Guard guys would have been dead?
You would have killed them the first time they came?
Oh, honey, if he would have put his hands down anywhere near me, it would have been over with. I don't play like that.
Well, I think these guys are definitely not prepared for a fight, and I think that it takes them a minute to realize that that's what's coming. And I think that that's kind of what's going on with the film, you know?
Right. But we, as preparedness people, would have been prepared, and I think we need to remember that. Your movie isn't written for us. It's written for other people.
And these characters are not you guys. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But we forget that.
Yeah.
But also, I think that the real message of the movie is not that everybody, I mean, I know we're on a preparedness show, so we should be saying that the message of the movie is to go get prepared. But from my point of view, it's really just a sort of a bigger look about the bonds that tie us together and the bonds that break us apart and what we really value when we're under pressure.
I would agree.
Yeah. So it's kind of like less of a, you know, sort of a propaganda piece about telling people to go buy guns and, you know, stock up their storehouse. And
but
more
come
of
on, you put solar panels and guns in there, and
like,
we're all over it. You know, that's what we bleed.
Yeah. Well, we're excited that the solar panels drew you to this movie, so that we could be having this discussion now.
Well, you know, and Sarah and I definitely disagree about a lot.
Yeah, we actually don't like each other most of the time. This movie came about really with a lot. I mean, it was a lot of wonderful collaboration too, but we had some real fights along the way. And that's why we were so excited to play this game, Conflicted, because we'd be presenting these scenarios to each other while we were writing the story and really fighting over them and really trying to figure out, what our characters would do at each turn.
So you have no firearms where you're at right now, correct?
No, I'm probably as, you're gonna love playing Conflicted with me because, first of all, I don't care that much about survival, and I'm very nonviolent, so.
So he's
safe. It should be an interesting round of Conflicted, probably.
Dennis has firearms.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. See, this is the thing.
What?
Sarah is the character in the movie that's like, you have a gun?
You have a gun?
And Dennis is the character that has a gun.
We need to just pause and I need to get more information on this.
Well, just go get your marijuana. You'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
give her some more wine.
I'll take one of each, one of whatever's laying around.
See, this is the interesting thing. We definitely made a movie that was based in a variety of views.
Yeah, and I think like I said, if you're out there and you're listening and you're in the preparedness world, you get the mindset. Don't watch the movie with that kind of mindset. Step out of it and think of it as a movie to get those conversations started. When you're watching the movie with your non-prepper friends, say, wow, he's got a good idea, that little food storage thing he's got. Check out those solar panels, and maybe a raised garden isn't the answer to everything out there. But
there was one piece of dialogue that cut out that I still miss, where James and Nick James is the guy who owns the house and he's sort of anti-gun, and Nick is the guy that comes and he's like an old friend of theirs, and Nick is like, all right, where are your guys' guns? And James says, oh, that's not how we do things around here. And Nick says, well, it will be when somebody comes with one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what happens in the movie. We took the line out because we didn't need the line because it actually occurs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of like the question of when people come with force.
What are you going to do?
Come with violence like one of the characters does in this movie. What are you going to do? And in fact, somebody in this film does respond to them with violence, but then with ideology. It's like, yes, I need to fix this problem with violence, but we're not going to live in that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we came from.
What we came from was the idea is that in the long run, ideas are much more powerful than guns, and that you may have to fix short-term problems, unfortunately, with violence, but if you don't want to continue in a path of violence forever, then at some point, someone has to be willing to risk their own safety and stand up for something and some sort of ideology and bring people together, and winning hearts and minds in the long run is the thing that's going to make, the next version of this world last a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well, it created the world we live in now. So,
Right.
Now the movie itself comes out on, disc when? In June, I believe? On hard copy?
Yeah, and I don't know. I want to apologize here for the fact that our DVD cover has a burning city on it with a guy with a shotgun.
Now, why would we think it's apocalyptic then?
It's crazy, man. This is something we have no control over. The distributors took the movie, and we constantly are like, dude, you are completely misrepresenting this film. People are going to be upset. They just do not give they don't care. And so it's just like, I know that some people who are maybe listen to your podcast and are into the idea of want to see an action film would be like, wow, this is really not what I was expecting. I'm sorry. There's really nothing we can do about it. We've tried.
Yeah, we've really tried. But, trying to ignore the DVD cover and try and, it's the kind of movie I think that if you're watching to be entertained and have fun and you're not looking for the action-packed apocalypse movie, I think, there's a lot to enjoy.
Well, I plan on purchasing it, no matter what your cover looks like.
Thank you.
Well, I think it has its, place in society. It has its purpose, and I think those of us that are in preparedness need to get past ourselves, quite honestly, and use it as a tool for what we can, And that is to, talk to people, watch the movie with people that might not be into it and show a different side of it because, they live among us, whether we like it or not. But sometimes we get wrapped up in our own little clique, if you don't have a gun, I'm not talking to you kind of thing. And a lot of people out there don't believe in that. So a lot of people are scared of that. So there's different avenues that we need to approach, the more people that we can get through what's coming. And I think all of us can agree that, the world's turning to shit here pretty fast. The better.
Well, I think that's true. I mean, it's interesting. Like, the last movie I made before this was an animal rights movie, which is something I'm really into. And it's a very insular community, and you have to communicate to people outside of it and say, hey, there's this thing you're not thinking about, and maybe you should think about it.
Yeah.
So any tool you have to do that is very useful.
Yeah. Well, preppers, quite honestly, thanks to a particular TV show I'm not going to name, we have the stigma that we're not quite sane, and that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to argue that point. But, a lot of us are just normal people. We don't prepare necessarily for the end of the world. Geez, we got through a blood moon last night and nobody died. So, well, that I know of anyways. But, we just...
I think a lot of what goes into preparing is also just about self-sufficiency and whether or not something, drastic and dire.
We do it for the economy, losing our jobs, weather related. There's a plethora of reasons. It's not about doomsday, quite honestly. It's about everyday life, and making sure our families are taken care of.
But also everyday life can be a lot more rich and a lot more, sort of beautiful when you're self-sufficient and the things that you sort of do and make for yourself, I think, become infused with like love and effort, and I would do those things if I wasn't busy/lazy.
At least you're honest about it, Well, it is about 18 minutes after 11, and I think I've put my point out there about the movie. I plan on purchasing it. I think that, like I said, it can be used as a great tool to draw people in, and those of us need to step out of the way and allow that to happen.
Well, that's really nice, because we were talking about your quote on your Facebook, which was
we were worried what you were going to say.
We were like, oh, that was interesting to say the least, and then you maintained an enviable silence.
Oh, don't you hate that? Don't you hate when people do that?
That was great. I loved it.
No, I'll be honest, and I was honest. When I watched the movie, my husband sitting across the room from me, I was yelling at the TV.
Yeah.
And that's him giggling like a little girl in the background. But I was, and then I had to step back and say, okay, this, the movie obviously wasn't written for, the people I hang with. So
you should put out a second movie of you watching the movie and yelling at the TV. I think that would be amazing. And you have
here's how it would go.
Beep, I have no to give you that permission.
Beep, bleep, bleep. That's pretty much the dialogue, and things flying across the room. So, yeah. Well, let's go ahead and throw down a card and see how interesting this one does get. So, we always pick on Alika. So, Alika, do you have a card ready? Are you still with us?
Hey, before we go there, can I say something real quick?
Sure.
I can definitely relate to you guys. People putting your product in a box, and it happens. Like, for example, when we came out with Conflicted, we had some people that said, hey, I thought this was some kind of a flashcard type of game that taught people how to survive. And that's not what that is. There's no survival tips on Conflicted on what you can do. It's a totally different game. So if people try to make you a little square to go into the round hole, it's not going to happen, And I think I haven't seen you guys' movie yet, so I don't know everything that's going on with it. I was waiting for it to come out on iTunes, and then I was told it already came out on iTunes, so I got to go check it out. But just go forward. It is what it is. And it's never going to please, it's never going to please everybody. Never going to please everybody. And it is your creation, The people who like it are going to,
Yeah,
follow it.
totally. I think I think we're frustrated with the way it's being marketed because it's being marketed the movie that's not. And we sort of like read some of the stuff where people are like, screw this movie because of this and this. And we're like, we totally agree. And we feel very sympathetic
And
to
then
their complaints.
we screen capture the complaint and then send it to each other. And
Oh,
But I totally, the game is great. I had a great time playing last time, and everybody I've showed Conflicted to, I think, it totally tells you what it is immediately, so.
but you have those scenarios in the movie too. I mean, there were several instances I thought, oh wow, this would make a good card for Conflicted. And it's like, JD needs to watch this. He could make up a whole deck that can go with the movie. Yeah, and you can send them as a pair. When you guys sell your movie, you can throw in a Conflicted deck along with it.
Well,
But-
there's no doubt that if there's a sequel, it will be much more in the realm of Conflicted. This was definitely a pre-Conflicted scenario, so.
But, yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. Once I got out of my way.
So what's our card?
yeah, let's play.
Alika, you have a card?
Yeah, I do.
Lay it on us.
All right. You are bugging out by foot and see a crashed prison bus. The inmates are stuck and trying to get out. The bus is on fire and they are begging for help. Do you use your axe to break the windshield glass and let them out, or will you let the inmates die?
Ooh, okay. Sounds a little Walking Deadish. So, Sarah, let's put you on a
Yeah.
spot.
Okay.
What would you do?
Before we get started, I want to know, like, is there a point system? Like, how do I win this game?
No, honey, I win. I win.
I would like to, okay. All right. Just wanted to strategize. All right. Well, okay. So the question is whether I would take the axe and save the inmates? Of course
Yes.
I would. Of course I would. I would think that there's, first of all, people go to prison for all kinds of reasons. Sometimes, they're guilty and sometimes, in the rare case they're not. Even if they were guilty, I don't think, they haven't been sentenced to death. So, I think I would have a moral obligation to try.
Okay. Alrighty. JD, what do you
And
think?
I would still have the axe if one of them came after me immediately after.
How many, Alika, does it say how many prisoners are on the bus or just a bus full?
Just as a bus full.
Gotcha. JD, what would you do?
Well, it depends on the color of their uniforms,
They're prisoners. It said that. They're probably orange then. Or are you discriminating against stripes or just solid orange?
No, I mean, if it's, for example, if it's red, it's a felony. If it's blue, whatever, if it's gray, I guess the darker the color, the less they deserve to live.
I didn't know that, actually. Seriously,
I'm making that up, I don't. But there are different colors,
Yeah,
The-
there are different colors.
It varies by state. So, here in California, that we got the people in red, we got people in orange. So, I don't know. I think besides the uniform, I'd look at their faces. Are these a bunch of gangbangers, or are these a bunch of people who were caught with some weed?
How do you tell that by their faces? Am I allowed to interrupt in this game?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
How could you tell by looking at them? I think that's you give yourself a lot of credit for your judgment there.
Absolutely. Well, I got the axe, so I make the decision. I mean,
I guess, man, I wouldn't want to have you as my judge. You would just sort of like with impunity decide that someone's a gangbanger by looking at their face.
Absolutely. Have you seen a gangbanger?
I live downtown LA. Yeah.
So you can tell who's a gangbanger, can't you? You've seen one, so you can tell what they look like, right?
Well, I've learned from my experiences in life that sometimes first impressions are misleading. And so I would feel that until someone really proves otherwise, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, here's my theory. I put 2 and 2 together. Looks like a gangbanger. It's in a uniform in a prison bus. So by putting all that information together, I'll probably just walk away, because these aren't folks who, even if I break them out, they're gonna lock arms with me and we're gonna sing Kumbaya together. They're gonna want something that I have. So, no thanks. I'll let somebody else free them if they want to, but not me.
Well,
I have bigger things to worry about.
Would that person that frees him be Dennis by chance? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have a hard time walking away from a burning bus full of people. I think that the prison system is pretty screwed up. I mean, I've had friends who've gone to prison, and so I think I would feel bad about judging them as bad people just because they were in prison. Yeah.
So no, I agree with you. That's why I divide, you know, that's why I try to make the best judgment call as I can, because you got people who didn't make their tax payments, and you got people who are serial killers, who are labeled people who break the law, you know. So I would try to just do the best judgment call that I could. And
I think you can break the windows and hightail it out of the situation. I don't think you have to stay around and hang out with them, you know?
I think there's an interesting phenomenon of like the morality of distance, right? So if this was happening right in front of my eyes, I would feel a burden on my heart to act. Now, you know, things like this, much worse than this even, are happening every day at a greater distance, and we don't do anything. So if this was happening 20 miles from me, would I feel morally obligated to run down there and do it? If it was happening, you know, 500 miles, would I? And it becomes, you know, I think there's an interesting phenomenon of when something happens right before your eyes, you feel more compelled to take action than, for example, when it's happening at a distance. For you know, for better, for worse,
we do. I mean, we do. I mean, how many of us are complacent right now with what's going on in Syria? I mean, it's on the news. Okay, well, okay, turn around and I'm going to go to work today. Alika, what do you think?
Well, first, don't get me wrong. I would love to be the one pulling the lever to fry somebody that's been convicted of murder or lighting the match to torch some pedophiles up. But I think I would be, unless the bus said, you know, convicted felons of kitty touchers, I would have to try and save them. Of course, I would think, in terms of safety, if I was traveling with my wife or children, I would keep them off in a distance and have them be like observers, and I would go down and try and save as many as I can. And then once they're out, not stick around to get congratulated or robbed, whichever may be the case.
Interesting. See, I pegged you wrong on that one, because I think it also depends on, I would guess, Sarah, maybe you don't have kids.
I don't. You guys are probably thankful I'm not procreating. So
No.
Less of my opinion around.
But that might change your answer if you were standing there with your kids and you saw a bus of prisoners. You know, I would react differently as a mom than I would if I was solo. You know, as a mom now, I would probably turn around and walk away. I would not take the chance. My main goal in survival is to make sure my children survive. And I will do whatever it takes to make that happen. And I would not risk the chance of turning, it is quite obvious from the story that, or from the card, that it's a bus full of convicts. That's a given. I would have a hard time justifying letting them loose and I'm not going to interview them on the way out. You know, what were you in for? You know, it isn't going to happen. So I would turn around and walk away.
I think that's true. I mean, I think that I'm married, and even if my husband was standing right there, I think it would give me pause, because all of a sudden the stakes become different when there's someone else besides you who could have harm come to them. But that being said, I think if I did nothing, I would have a harder time living with myself after that. I think that I try to make choices based on, you know, how I'm going to be able to live with those choices later, and I think I would have to try.
Well, you as a woman, if you were by yourself or even with your husband, would you be afraid that you as the rescuer would turn quickly into a victim if they all got out safely and you were still there and
No,
one decided, hey,
my husband would be picking them off one by one as they went out the door.
As a woman, I will say no, because it's not that I wouldn't have fear. It's just that I would look that fear in the face. I mean, I think that I think that I would be no more vulnerable than a man. So it would be I'm pretty fucking tough, first of all.
So 12, let's say a dozen guys get off the bus. That's not going to give you pause?
I would say, hello, good sirs. I bet you're grateful. I just saved your life. I'm going to walk away now. And if you guys are not cool with that, then we will have to have a chat. And if it got really terrible really fast, then I would just have to find a place in myself to be strong. Silence.
Well,
I thought
any of us
the
would tell you that you're pretty much screwed.
Well,
in more ways than one.
Here's
look, I have a really good gang rape face. I would just put on my gang rape face and be like, look, at least I can sleep with myself for the 5 more minutes, or sleep with myself. I can sleep with a clean conscience for the 5 more minutes before I die.
I take it you've never been raped.
Wow. Do we want to go there on this podcast?
Let me say something real quick. Have you heard of the story of the frog and the scorpion? You all heard about it, right?
Yes, they get across the lake and
the scorpion kills them.
Yeah. So remember, there's people out there that aren't as good as you. The noble thing to do would be to save everybody. But some people are not unable to process information that way. They're like, wow, I got lucky. I'm thirsty. Oh, you're wearing a backpack. You got some water in there. Some people just process information completely different.
I'm not naive. I'm not saying that I'm assuming that everybody's good or is going to act the way I want them to, but it doesn't change my obligation to help.
Yeah, it is something in the moment, that I think if this were to happen to us here, we'd look at those people in the bus and and then we would decide, but if they're saying, come here, you're effing this and open this, effing that, you just keep on walking. But I don't know. It's hard to tell. My default would be to walk away. It'd be very hard for me to go and open, because then I'm just taking a big risk, for the good of other people, but then I'm not being good to myself, because I'm putting myself in a tough situation. So.
All right.
That's what I think.
Let's move on to the next question, because it's already 11:35. So, does anybody have a card they want to play, or let me just throw one out there?
How about our guests? Do you guys have one?
We were looking. This game is so much fun, by the way. I love it.
Yeah, okay. It's kind of a crazy game, but it's good.
Now, do you?
What was the one you pulled?
I mean, I pulled this one, and maybe it's kind of is it too easy of a question?
Well, Sarah, do you guys have both decks? Do you know which deck it's from?
Oh,
it's the first one. It's the first deck. Yeah.
Okay.
I brought the second one home, so it's not at the office where we're at.
I'll read this question, and then if you guys think it's too safe of a question, we can pick a different one. Okay.
Cool.
What is the one skill you wish you had in case the world went into post-apocalyptic mode tomorrow, and why?
Okay. That's fine. Dennis, what do you want? If you could improve on, what's your superpower?
The one skill that I wish I had?
Yeah.
Foraging. I have friends that have taken foraging classes and
foraging for food or foraging documents?
Foraging for food.
Oh.
Knowing what you can eat in the wild. I think that's the main thing that I don't know. So, I would like to know more about what is poisonous and what isn't.
That would be helpful, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Always a plus. Alika, what's your one superpower?
I would like to know all the ins and outs about farming. It's a renewable food source that I still don't have my brain wrapped around. I'm trying to immerse myself when the time allows to get up to par on farming.
Is that both animals and the vegetational part of it, or all of it together?
I would say all of it together, but more with the emphasis on the vegetable part, because I think it takes a lot more skill to grow vegetables and other plants versus livestock.
Save the turtles. Sarah, what do you want to do?
I just was thinking about that. I think, especially based on the previous question, I feel like I wish my one skill was like being able to really deeply meditate and become a more Zen-like person and like rise above all my emotions, because I think in this crazy new world, you're going to have to be really level-headed. And so I would want to be able to be as rational and objective and level-headed as possible in all situations. I don't know if that's not specific enough, but
no, that's fine. We've talked about our spiritual lives a lot. It's something that a lot of people in the preparedness world don't talk about a whole lot. They think it's just there. So yeah, I can completely understand that, because the times that we would go through would be quite tough, you know, and we're going to have to be able to learn how to de-stress. JD?
That's true. This question comes up from time to time, and I think about people's answers because we hear a lot of different takes. But to me, it's still the ability to communicate and get your words across. Basically, of public speaking with negotiations, something like that. Because I think if you're a good talker, you can lead, you can get people not to fight, or you can get them to fight. You can barter. I think you can get things. You can get whatever you need, because even if you cannot provide everything that you need to yourself, somebody out there has what you need, and maybe you can find a way to get them to trade with you somehow. Or, so I think having that ability to really communicate and get your ideas across and get people to do what you want them to do. Maybe a little bit of manipulation. I don't know, but that's what I'd like.
Okay. That's a different round. I think we had that question a long time ago, and definitely different answers than we've seen in a while. So awesome answers, guys.
What do you say, Laura?
Very cool.
If I had to choose, it would probably be medical, but more in-depth surgery type, give me in your guts kind of surgery. I can take care of a boo-boo or whatever, things like that, but more internal medicine.
You want to know how to take out an appendix, that kind of thing?
I do, actually.
Yeah.
with your bare hands.
Exactly.
Nice.
With my teeth.
Yeah.
No, seriously though. Just to be able to diagnose, and know, all of the problems that could be going on, not just, oh my goodness, you have a fever, but what could be causing it, getting through all that kind of stuff.
Well, there's so many kind of like completely stupid, completely achievable cures that we take for granted at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, and I'm going to say this, our medical field as we know it does more harm than good anymore. And we need to, clean that up all the way around.
That's true.
I agree.
Very true.
So, all right, next question.
You guys sign up for health insurance?
I have a job.
Oh, nice. I just wanted to test out. I wanted to just throw that question out there.
Well,
that could be a whole show in itself.
I just thought I would just dabble it in there.
We'll wait till 2016 and we'll have that conversation.
You must comply, otherwise you're gonna end up in a burning bus full of inmates.
Exactly.
And my answer would be,
for Sarah
fuck
to
you.
come and save you and then be raped by you.
Sarah and I don't have real jobs.
No, we don't. We
just
need health
motivate.
insurance.
You need health insurance?
No.
I applied and I got mine, and I'm very hopeful. But let's continue. Next question.
Okay. So, you are alone, driving out of state when all of a sudden your car dies. You realize your car died, and so did everyone else's. This is from the first deck, by the way. Nobody's phones are working. You have a sinking feeling that an EMP went off. You are surrounded by strangers from all walks of life. Everyone has very limited resources. Would you join forces or disappear on your own? And what would be your main goal after this decision? So, Alika, what do you think? EMP goes off. You're going out of town.
I think my answer would still be the same when we played this card before. And my primary objective would be to get home to the wife. I would just take my get home bag that I already have in my car and start humping it all the way back.
Would you help those around you try and get home?
Nope. I will just hump it.
Wait, what's humping it?
Hump it before you leave? Or, huff it?
Huff it.
Oh, sorry. I'm using military jargon. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Humping it, hiking, walking.
Walking. And Doc in the chat room. Hi, everybody in the chat room. We get quite a few in there. How far away are we? We are almost out of state, but you're still in the same state where you left. So.
Oh yeah, I would definitely hike it back to the house. Be no doubt about it.
Okay. Dennis.
So the question is, we're driving for some reason I'm leaving state and there's an EMP, and what do I do? The question?
Yeah. Yep. Would you join forces with the people around you or disappear on your own? And what would be your main goal after the decision you make?
I would not join forces because that is a random sampling of individuals and they probably would tend towards useless. So I would probably stay.
Are you judging people?
Yes.
Now wait a minute. You'll judge the people outside of the prison jumpsuits on the freeway.
No, dude, here's the thing. Like 90% of people in this planet now I think are useless. So, but I don't think that means they deserve to die. So it's a different situation. Like, can they help me? No. Do they deserve to die? Probably not. So, like, I don't think I would be looking for allies on the side of the highway. I would want to get back to whatever sort of affinity group I had where I came from.
What if it's a mom and, a couple small kids?
If there was somebody that looked like they needed help immediately and I could actually help them and not just be an additional thing, yeah, I would probably try to help. I think that it's a difference between looking for allies and being somebody that could be useful to somebody else. I think that an EMP is going to be sort of weird, right? Because basically nothing works, but there's not any immediate chaos. It's just like these situations, the things that you're relying on are not working.
Everything just stops.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that unless your mind is already in the realm where you think of the consequences that can occur off of that, it's just going to be a weird sort of humorous incident, right?
Well, in your opinion, and the people that you know, how many people do you think out there, if an EMP did go off, would actually know what happened?
2%. Very little. I mean...
Yeah. I mean, before I got involved in this, I would have no idea, If you asked me 4 or 5 years ago if that happened to me, I'd be like, okay. I guess I'll wait to hear from the government.
I think if everything shut down, I would suspect an EMP, but I don't think most people would, for sure.
I didn't know what an EMP was until as that question was being read, I looked to Dennis and I was mouthing, what is that? And he explained it to me. But yeah, first of all, though, if I were already, so the question is like, you were already in another state or you were far away from home.
Okay.
For me,
yeah, you're on your way out of the state.
Yeah. Because I think that would be a good thing. I mean, I live in downtown LA, and if anything happens, I'm so stuck and so screwed in downtown Los Angeles. So I probably wouldn't head back home. I would probably, I guess it depends on whether or not my husband was with me. If he was back, I would head back. But if we were together and we had our dogs with us, then we would probably look for some other place to be.
It might be one of those conversations.
Your perfectly prepared homes.
Yeah, it might be one of those conversations you have with him, saying, if I'm outside the city and something happens, I'm not coming in after you. You need to come out to me, because you're going to have a time lag of opportunity from the time something like that would happen for him to get out of the city.
I mean, I definitely think that, and this is a large part of what our film is about, even though it happens off screen, is that like the urban environment is completely unprepared for any sort of lack of resources. It's like when you cut off resource, most people don't even realize how dependent they are on the outside of the urban environment world interacting with the urban environment. And so like if you cut that off, there is a scarcity of resources that leads to chaos. And that's something that most people don't even think about. And I think that is the apocalypse that happens in our movie that we see off screen. It's not something our characters experience, but it could quickly lead to a collapse of what we consider civilization, right? Because the resources are the thing that we depend on. And if they're not flowing, most people don't know how to like even approach an alternative.
No.
The things we're talking about.
Yeah. And you mean to say that McDonald's doesn't replicate their hamburgers?
Exactly.
Those actually come into the city on a truck?
Yeah, there's no, I mean, I read one study at one point where it was like within 3 days, there would be nothing in Los Angeles. We have 3 days worth of sustenance in Los Angeles.
Oh, it's not just there. I mean, that's pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, it's probably every urban area, but in LA, like basically after 3 days, you would have no food, no water, no anything.
We have multiple earthquake kits in my apartment, and they're pretty much empty because we keep getting hungry and eating from them when we have forgotten to go grocery shopping. So that by the time something catastrophic actually occurs, we have a couple Band-Aids left.
I don't even know how to respond to that. It's a good thing you're across the country.
We need a one-on-one time, maybe. Maybe you be my prepping coach.
Because right now I just severely want to shake you really bad. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? And then we'll go out and smoke pot and get drunk.
Well,
you can do both.
Yeah, look, there's time for everything.
No, because we have to pack the backpack correctly. We can't just throw it in there. There's a method here. Oh my goodness.
You gotta rein this show back in, Lori.
Oh, no, I don't. Okay, so did we miss anybody on the question?
I think we missed you.
Did we?
Yeah, what one skill?
Mine's easy enough.
Oh yeah, you said medical, right?
We're on another question, JD. Pay attention.
Are you serious? I'm reading the chat room. I'm reading the chat room, and they're everywhere here. So
see what I have to deal with. No, we're on an EMP. Remember, the EMP went off. We're on our way out of state.
That's true.
Yeah, mine would be easy enough. I would just, I've got my cart, my truck's always loaded with my pack, and would I stop and help anybody? That's going to depend. It depends on who I run across, but the primary goal is for me to get home to help my children.
Do you keep roller skates in your pack? Or fast trap? I'm just saying that might be a good idea for all you preppers out there. Roller skates.
To do what with? Because you can't roller skate down the road.
Yes, you can. If you're on a freeway and you've been driving, my gosh, you would get down so much faster.
Oh, I would not be caught on the freeway during an EMP.
I have a YouTube.
Do you not have a freeway? How is that possible? What if you were?
If I would be getting off the freeway really fast. Yeah, my pack has maps, and all that kind of stuff in there. So, and I'm very good with directions and things like that. My dad used to take me hunting. I know this is going to freak you out, but stay with me here, Sarah. My dad used to take me hunting when I was little, would leave me in the woods and say, Lori, find your way home. So I've never had a problem not finding my way home, ever.
Be awesome. I like the being left in the woods and find your way home.
Yeah, Sarah grew up in the woods.
Yeah, I'm from Colorado.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. See, we would get along just fine.
Yeah, exactly. And then I immediately stopped camping and going to the woods after I left home. But now I miss it.
You need to get back there. We went to Utah last year and absolutely stunning out through there, and have been wanting to get back and visit and spend some more time.
I like what Salty Old Dog says about Walmart being the answer, because in fact, if you can control the Walmart, you pretty much have control over everything.
So you're going to go take the Walmart hostage?
If you can take the Walmart,
If
you can take that as your dominion, or if you're like, I own the Walmart, you pretty much have it all set.
Okay, well.
You would need an arsenal that would rival any National Guard armory.
Isn't there an arsenal in the Walmart? Don't they sell ammunition there?
Some
right?
of them do.
Some of them
don't. But we saw what happened at Walmart at when the EBTs went down, and during, Black Friday and all of that. I would stay clear of a Walmart.
That's probably true. Yeah. Unless you can
look at the Black Friday
unless you
stuff.
have the resources to take it, you should stay clear.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where foraging would come in handy, Dennis. I don't have to worry about, lugging a pack full of food around with me home, because I can just, head out in the woods and be taken care of. So, but yeah, and, probably 95% of the food in Walmart you wouldn't want to eat anyways.
No, but you
can digest it.
Material.
You can.
Yeah.
All right.
I wouldn't take it for the food. I'd take it for the other stuff.
He'd take it for the toy aisle.
Get your Yoda. Okay, next question real fast. We have 7 minutes left. 6, actually. So, anybody have one, or you may just throw one out there?
Do it.
Okay, someone in your inner circle of trusted friends has committed an unforgivable act that only you are a witness to. He doesn't know that you're aware of what happened. You decide death is the proper punishment to what he did. There is no other way. Would you take care of him secretly, or would you discuss his fate with others in your group and burden them all? Sarah, this one's all yours.
Okay. I wouldn't. I definitely would want to discuss it with others, but I would know that as soon as I started to do that, then it's just my word against his. So I think I would try to collect some other evidence. I mean, it really depends on what the crime actually was, but I think I would try to build my case, or somehow collect some evidence, or maybe confide in one person first who I really trusted, and the two of us could try and figure out the best thing to do together. I don't think that taking care of him by myself is the way to go, just because that's not what I would want other people to do. I wouldn't want to live in sort of a vigilante justice type of situation. I do think that, it has to be justice by consensus, but I also would be well aware that just my word against his wouldn't go very far. So I think I would pause, try to build my case as best I could, and then take it to the group.
Now, what kind of crime, in your opinion, would warrant the death of someone?
Oh, great question. I think that.
Now, don't forget, you're in a downgrade situation.
Yeah.
So you're the justice now.
Yeah. I mean, I think if I saw them killing somebody else, or my imagination is failing me right now. I guess behaving with such sort of unforgivable cruelty, and hurting someone either to their death or just torture or something like that. I certainly wouldn't use the death penalty liberally in any situation, but I do think sometimes it's necessary to take out someone who's going to harm the group in a really big way.
Okay. Dennis?
I think that if you witness, rape, murder, then yeah, it's your responsibility to take that person out. And I don't think burdening the group with it makes any sense.
So you would feel comfortable not telling anyone and going ahead and doing it.
Yeah, I would.
JD?
I'm with Dennis on this one. If it's something that it's a given, I mean, just take care of it. And I mean, why not? There's no time to keep people like that around, you know. There's no resources to keep that.
All right.
People like that around.
Here's your curveball. What if he's the only doctor in your group?
Still, what kind of doctor is a total psycho that does something unforgivable? You know, if that's what kind of doctor is this? I don't want this guy treating me and family. I'd rather be without a doctor. You know.
But wait, second curveball. What if that dude who you caught in the act of murdering someone was only murdering someone because he caught that dude in the act of murdering someone? So like, you don't even know why. You don't know the story behind what he was doing, and so
you have a point.
Yeah,
you have a very valid point. Or what if
it's true? You know?
What if it was your brother?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's good curveballs.
Well, I don't have a brother, so I'm good.
We're pretending now.
No, I know, but yeah, that'd be
harder.
Harder.
Murdering somebody, and you knew that he could save other people, you'd kill him.
So do we need to take a pause before we decide? Are we a little too jump happy on killing people?
Say, I'm only killing him because he killed the other guy. And I will probably just take care of it.
I was going to say, if you witnessed him murdering someone, another adult or whatnot, that probably would be a little different. But if I witnessed him molesting or raping a child, I wouldn't even hesitate.
Well, that's a crime of passion. I think we could all get behind a good old-fashioned crime of passion. Good old-fashioned crime of passion.
But you do have a valid point. You know, did he witness somebody else? Was he doing what you were about to do? You know, so yeah, Alika.
That's true.
I would have to, do it on the down low, and then come back and say, yeah, he tripped, or he got shot by somebody else.
There's nobody.
And then, they would question me, well, why did they hear shouting about looking at flowers?